would agree it will be disruptive. It will revolutionize huge parts of the economy and society. For the very, very first time, we have AI systems that can perform things for which they were never trained. Yeah? Intelligence could listen to machines and watch machines and predict when the machine would break down so that just in time things would be replaced, critical parts. That's called predictive maintenance. The jobs that will not go away is jobs that have to do with people. Negotiating a deal, convincing people. Management, politicians, therapists, teachers. They help to create the economic framework. The facilitate can be a facilitator for that. In the end, of course, society has to make sure that this really happens, that this vision becomes true.
I mean, we talked about applications, etc., but it sounds a little bit to me that it highly depends on the resources companies or even states have to develop these fields further. Is that right?
Yes, right now that is really right. I mean, it's on each level. Yeah, it has to do with resources. So right now, for instance, when it comes to AI, it's the computing resources. Yeah, it's it could be data resources as well, because we believe right now that in the fields that we are touching that there are enough data, but it's maybe not true for all fields, that we have enough good data for educating and training the machines. Yeah? So there could be still bottlenecks. Right now, one of the biggest bottleneck in AI is the infrastructure, the compute infrastructure, because the demand went up suddenly so steeply that first of all, the companies producing cannot really increase the production so fast. And the second thing is certain regions and parts of the world have reacted too late, and have maybe not ordered early enough.
I will dig into that topic a little bit actually now, because if I observe it as an outsider, I see two giants, China and US on the other side. And it seems they go into a state where it becomes a serious competition. But where's Europe?
Yeah, that is sad. It has a sad side, and maybe we have a little reason for optimism, but it's in fact not a very happy story. So Europe has missed some boats, some trains, some chances. In general, Europe has been, on the research side, very productive. Many of the inventions came actually from Europeans. Even the big shots in North America are mainly Europeans. Yeah? The people who win the Turing Awards and people who make the decisions. Some of the best models come from Europe, or Europeans have helped. So it's not that intellectually there's a problem, but it's Europe traditionally has two problems. And right now, with a missing infrastructure, even a third one. Yeah. So the two problems it had traditionally was the last mile into making something from a very good research prototype or research system to a product. That was something that institutions like DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project in the US, or the programs in China that are dedicated to this, did better, and where Germany kind of failed. Yeah, didn't have because at this point you need competitive research, and Europe and Germany didn't have a competitive research. Quite the opposite. If two projects wanted to work on the similar thing, they were told, no, taxpayer cannot pay for the same thing twice. And so competitive research. But the whole DARPA research that brought about the internet and the global positioning system and autonomous driving and all of these things, it's completely built on competitive research. So that was one shortcoming. The other shortcoming, and by the way, the competitive part, China copied better than Europe. Yeah, so that's they understood that. And the second one was the lack of funding or venture capital was given in too small doses and not with enough willing to take risk. So this risk-averse venture capital system in Europe. So the second one, I would say that, and here again, China had a mixed system of economy and state, because as you know, China already very, very early, it started under Deng Xiaoping, that they started having huge government-backed venture capital funds, and then now they have lots of mixed systems. They have purely private and mixed government-private systems, so they knew. Because you need, also Europe, they need a little bit of government help in kickstart it, because of course venture capital would say, why should we go to Europe? There are fewer unicorns and fewer success stories. Why not go to the places where we get better stories? So in the beginning, it's you need to, in order to get the machinery going, and in the past in Europe that didn't happen because you had the lack of this competitive last mile research. So there were not enough good things coming out, and now it's a vicious circle. Now it's a vicious circle. There are not enough things coming out, and so then the few things that come out don't get enough funding, and so the commercialization is done in US or China. So now with the big language models, a third factor comes in, and this is that the facilities needed, the infrastructures are so huge that even in the US, the top universities cannot afford them anymore. So that even Stanford, Yale, Princeton, MIT, University of California, USC, they cannot afford anymore these infrastructures, and they don't build the big models. The big models are built at OpenAI, at Meta, at Google, but not anymore at the universities. So the US did something about it. They already more than a year ago installed a task force, actually attached to the White House, was directly installed by the White House, to take care of that problem, and they did. They made a proposal of having, in the beginning, $2.4 billion spent on that, and state reacted. Now it's a bill in Congress, but it's backed both by Democrats and Republicans, so it will go through. But what did Europe do? It talked about it. There was some talk about it, but actually no action so far. So in Germany, the Ministry of Economics gave us actually a contract in a project called LEAM, Large European AI Models. They gave us a contract for doing a feasibility study and show exactly what's needed. And we did. And what came out was a 175-page blueprint that shows exactly what has to be done. And people in the ministries and all German companies that we asked, all the big players said, yes, this is exactly what needs to be done. And still it hasn't happened. Maybe because there's Ukraine war, there is the energy crisis, there are lots of other things. Our government right now doesn't have this priority, unfortunately. France did a little better with Macron, but also not that much better. China, on the other hand, grabbed the chance immediately. So there are now many models in China, and right now, at least, right now the scene here also may in the future have a shortage, but right now it's not existent yet. So far, the infrastructure here is so much better in China compared with Europe that you get so many new models. So the 4 big models that were approved by the government last week, they are not alone. There are at least 18 other big models in the back.
This thinking a little bit further, will AI change the economies we are in? And if yes, will there be a difference of the changes it causes in the US, in China, and maybe not in Europe because we're not so far yet, but will there be a difference of the changes in the States and in China?
The economy will change quite a bit, but it will not come. The models will not go and directly change the, let's say, macroeconomic structure. Yeah? So that cannot happen. It will go by affecting lots of changes in industries. Some industries and markets will become much more effective, yeah, and especially industries that so far were suffering from, I give you an example in a moment, from large knowledge-intensive processes. They will do things much quicker, and there will be immense reserves, yeah, which can either happen then in cheaper products, yeah, or in quicker evolution cycles of products and technology. So one example is really automotive. If you go now, even the most modern car companies, they could reduce already the classical time from the idea of building maybe a model from the first until the thing hits the street. There's about 6 years. Now it could be reduced already to maybe by modern companies and Chinese speed to 5 years or 4.5 or so. But still, it's much too long. Yeah. So, and if these, and it's really true that in the beginning, most of that stuff is intellectual work, because there are so many areas, interdisciplinary work, the materials, the laws, the certification, the existence of the suppliers, the taste of the customers in different parts of the world, the new methods of productions, the prices on the world market for parts, for materials, for everything. There are so many things that bringing them all, finding an optimal solution for the design of a car is right now a thing that spans years, yeah? And it cannot be reduced right now. But if you had the power of AI already now, if you already had the foundation model that knew about all this stuff, it could be greatly reduced. Yeah? So in many areas, also that's something that many people, for instance, my son works in a company applying this new type of AI in the search for new medicines, for new vaccines and medicines. This time can be greatly reduced. Yeah? So lots of things can be done cheaper and quicker, and this will clearly have an effect on the economy, and also many types of work, maybe not the most interesting, can be replaced, and that also will have an effect on economy. So economies that master that will be more competitive, and really we need to worry about. So Europe still maybe has an opportunity, but it has to grab it. Yeah.
But I think you're also a good example that just because you are a European or a German, it doesn't exclude you from doing something with your colleagues here in China, right? So what's your idea, or what's the idea of Nyonic to have a German-Chinese company?
Yeah, so I have worked already for more than 20 years. I think I was in Shanghai for the first partnership with Shanghai Jiao Tong University. Then we had a joint lab there. In '95 it began, yeah, so a long time ago, 1995. So and in our teams, I had quite a number of Chinese students. Some of them now work in Nyonic, PhD candidates, and we, in research, we did always have mixed teams and had very good experiences with it. And I also participated in this German-Chinese project on Industry 4.0, and there were so many points where cooperation really could lead to fruitful results. So the German government, on the other hand, was very afraid of losing technology. Yeah. So in fact, they were thinking that the technology would always go somehow and disappear from Germany and then reappear here, and we would have a disadvantage by cooperation. But of course, I mean, everybody who has spent some time here knows that's very far from the truth. Yeah? In fact, there is so much development now and so much complementary strengths and knowledge we can only gain by cooperation. Both sides can really gain quite a lot. And there is, first of all, not the danger that technology would disappear. They call it technology drainage, but technology is not like water in a bathtub that goes away and then suddenly there's none anymore. But it's more the sharing. Yeah? It's more like sharing. You don't lose it. Yeah? But it's true, you enable others to do the same thing that you are. But you will only do it if you have a benefit too, so that then, because of the cooperation, you are also able to do things that otherwise you wouldn't do. And this chance has not been seen because the fear, but I mean, Germany is very much, as we know, fear-driven, like in energy and other fields. This fear of losing something, in the end, deprived you of chances of gaining a lot. So I think we need to get away from that way of thinking and seeing that that we find mutual beneficial ways of cooperation.
Yeah, we have to be careful that German angst will not backfire on us.
Exactly, it's the German angst. It's always seen first the negative, like with AI. Instead of immediately jumping on it and seeing, wow, this is so intelligent, this is so powerful, we need to use it now for as much as possible and at the same time be careful. No, the way is to say, the predominant way of thinking about it is to say, let's think about what bad things could happen, And of course, human imagination will always tell you very bad things. And the same thing is true with the cooperation, People who are thinking about the dangers. What is the worst case that can happen if I, in a friendly, mutually beneficial way, have companies cooperating? What can be the worst case? And then all the advantages that you could have through cooperation and exchange, you are sacrificing because you're following your fear.
I think those were very nice final words. I think we could discuss for the whole night or even longer. But you made it happen that I understood the topic way better. And I hope that our viewers feel the same. For the last point, can companies just approach Nyonic and say, we want to get engaged with this topic? Or how does that work?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we although we are still in the development phase, that means most of the things we want to provide are not ready yet, but nevertheless, there will be a flow of solutions and companies that have the, we are looking especially for companies now that are interested in co-inventing with us. That because what I said is we need to train the systems with industrial knowledge. So, and the knowledge that is really needed by companies. So if we could find companies that say we want to cooperate there and help building things, those companies will be the first that have results that fit the needs of this company. So this is actually what we are looking for.
So I think the German Chamber is a good place for that. And hopefully you come way more often now to Shanghai and to China, and that we can continue the discussions and also with our member companies, of course. Thank you very much, Hans.
I'd be happy. Thank you for the conversation. It was a pleasure.